Trade reports are intensifying between the Calgary Flames and the New York Rangers. The big name being rumored to leave Calgary is MacKenzie Weegar, and there is a boatload being rumored to return to Calgary from the Big Apple. We're going to dive into the proposed Blockbuster deal here, and we're going to decide if Weegs leaving Cowtown is even a realistic situation. But before we get into that, I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. But without further ado, let's hop right into this Flames and Rangers blockbuster that could potentially happen. And these rumors, they've kind of been going around for the past few days here, and I gotta say a big shout out to both Joe and Tater here who brought the idea up to me. So Joe said, hey mate, there's a strong rumor between Rangers and us. Trouba, Sakura, Kako, for Weegar. Can you make a vid, bro? And then Tater, of course, said, I hear there's trade rumors with Weegar and Kako. No way we should trade Weegar for that dude. And we're going to dive a little bit more into it, and it is quite interesting. But there is some validity to these trade reports and trade rumors. Not that I would ever discount to greats here around in the Flames Digest family. But here is the actual article, or at least the best one that I could find revolving around this situation, this ongoing trade reports intensifying. This one comes from NY Rangers Insider. Major blockbuster trade emerges between the Calgary Flames and the New York Rangers. Now, this article is written from a New York perspective because Calgary, we're not really going to be initiating any trade talks involving MacKenzie Weegar. I think both the organization itself and, of course, the fan base want to keep Weegar, and I'm sure Weegar, he's made it known that he wants to be here. He wants to ride it out through the rebuild, get to that window of contention. Great guy, will probably become the captain of this franchise at some point. So just to preface what we're about to go into, it is written from a Rangers standpoint. Now, to begin, the New York Rangers offseason has been unexpectedly eventful and not for the better. After the failed trade of Jacob Trouba, the Rangers are still $8 million too heavy on the cap. They do indeed have some work to do. After falling to the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals and winning the President's Trophy with 114 points during the regular season, you couldn't have expected it to get worse. The Rangers, once again, they have been contenders over the past couple decades almost. They had a couple years of not even a rebuild, just sort of a quick transition between the Lundqvist era to the Shesterkin era, pretty much. And they're already big contenders again. They've had great teams, but they have not been able to get over the hump. You know, in the Lundqvist era, they made the Stanley Cup final. They made so many Eastern Conference finals, couldn't quite do it. And it looks as though the same thing is happening once again. So changes need to be made in New York, pretty much is what is happening here. And every team that needs to make changes through trades seem to always get the Calgary Flames involved in that. And is exactly what is going on here. Now, if we hop into the next little part here, the Rangers, they did bring in Riley Smith and Sam Carrick, but maybe GM Chris Drury could make a big move with the Calgary Flames. There's another GM in this league who at one time did play for the Calgary Flames. I would love to know, out of the 32 general managers, or kind of 31, I guess we're at now, we don't know who the Oilers are going to have, but either way, I would love to know how many at one point played for the Calgary Flames. If someone can let me know down below in the comments, that'd be super cool. But either way, the team could make a move, this of course being the Rangers, to bring in a two-way defenseman from the Flames, MacKenzie Weegar. Weegar performed beyond expectations, posting 52 points, the 20 goals and 32 assists in 82 games, blocking 200 shots and registering 194 hits. He was insane for the Flames last season. He really did it all. The 30-year-old currently has 6 years left on his $6.25 million AAV contract and has a NTC, a no trade clause, and he has made it known that he would be down to play for the Flames, wants to go through this rebuild. We want him here, so it's very interesting to see his name being brought up in these trade rumors. Let's dive more into, I guess, a return for Calgary, because as it stands right now, the only kind of piece being shipped away from Calgary in this proposed blockbuster deal is MacKenzie Weegar, and any trade revolving around him really could end up being a blockbuster because let's face it, he's not going to go for cheap. Such a good two-way defenseman. I mean, 20 goals and 200 block shots. The first player to ever do that. 194 hits as well. He really improved his game this season from his first season in Calgary and just seems to get better and better. He's becoming a true leader on this Calgary Flames team. So what could the Flames kind of get back here? Well, let's see. With the Flames linked to Kaapo Kakko, this could be a way to give Kakko a new start while bringing in an elite defenseman. We've had a lot of Kaapo Kakko trade rumors, kind of him being linked to the Flames. It started months ago before the trade deadline with, Elias Lindholm, and now it's kind of resurfacing again because he could probably use a new scenery, and Calgary could be a good spot for him, but we'll see. Another piece, Trouba could also be attached in the move if they're not on his no-trade clause, and the Flames would also require a pick and a prospect with the move for Weegar, which could be Adam Sikora with a mid-round pick attached. It would be a lot to give up to secure Weegar, but to win, it requires going all in sometimes. So essentially what they're saying here is the Rangers, they should be prepared to give away a lot to get Weegar, as they think Weegar could be the type of player that could get them over the hump in that Eastern Conference. They haven't been to the finals since, was it 2014? I think they lost to the Kings in that spectacular OT winner by Alec Martinez, but They've done it in the regular season. They just need to prove they can do it in the playoffs. Apparently, Weegar is the right player to do that for them. We'll just have to wait and see. So let's kind of break this down. We're going to go piece by piece here. So essentially, they're saying Weegar in this blockbuster for Kakko, Trouba, Adam Sikora, and a mid-round pick. So let's start it off with, of course, Kaapo Kakko. He always gets talked about. He's 23 years old, so he's still pretty young. The former second overall pick, of course. This past season, in 61 games, he had just 13 goals and 6 assists for 19 points. Not exactly spectacular. That's less than a point every 3 games, and you expect better from a guy who was supposed to be an absolute stud going second overall. He did have a positive plus-minus, but that's pretty easy to do on a President's Trophy winning team. The shooting percentage actually isn't all that bad. Maybe he just needs to shoot a little more. Only 13 minutes and 17 seconds of time, of ice time per average. That could definitely go up in Calgary. A Corsi for percentage above 50. Again, that's kind of what you're shooting for. So he's not too bad. Maybe just is too below too many of these guys on the Rangers, and Calgary could be an okay option. I'm just glad it's not being rumored as a 1-for-1. There's a lot more coming. So let's get into the next player there, which of course was Jacob Trouba. And I gotta be honest, I'm not a big Jacob Trouba guy. I think he throws some dirty hits. He tries to be an aggravator, but it ends up costing his team quite a bit. A little bit of a prima donna with the media and just some of the things he says, and I don't know, I'm not a huge fan. But either way, if we dive into the stats here, played 69 games last season, had 22 points, which isn't too bad for a defenseman, especially one that is more focused on defense. 3 goals, 19 assists, was a -4 though on this amazing Rangers team, which is pretty surprising. Lots of giveaways, not too many takeaways, and over 21 minutes of ice time per game. 6'3", he's over 30 now. Kind of seems like he might be on the way out of New York, even though he's been their captain. He won the Mark Messier Leadership Award, but we all know that's kind of rigged just because Messier did play for the Rangers. Very interesting. I don't know if I would want Trouba at all. I don't think he fits into the plans for the Flames. Would it be the worst acquisition? No, but I would just still much rather have Weegar than Trouba. But either way, it's an interesting one. I think we can all agree on that. Now, if we get into the last piece, it is Adam Sikora, and I'll just pop up some of his stats here. So he's a prospect, I suppose. He's a second rounder from 2022. And, not really the best stats here. If we look at his AHL stats so far in 2 years with Hartford, well, the first one he just played 2 games, didn't register a point. But last year with the Wolfpack in 66 games, had 23 points. Really not that great of a prospect. I know the article said they'd throw in a mid-round pick as well. I would hope that would be, a third for sure, maybe a fourth kind of thing. But either way, I'm not loving this whole trade package. I don't think it's spectacular in any way. I personally would much rather have Weegar, but I really want to know your thoughts down in the comments. Would this be a smart trade for the Flames? Would this be something they want to do? My heart is telling me absolutely not. Weegar should stay in Cowtown. He wants to be here. That's so important for us. And he's such a good player. He could be the leader of our D-core going forward, especially with all the young guys coming in. I'm sure he could have a lot to teach them. I'm not going to say whether this would be a good trade or a bad trade. I'll let you guys decide, but please let me know down in the comments what you think about a potential blockbuster with the New York Rangers. Now let's wrap up this video with the comment of the day, everyone's favorite part of the video. And this one has to do kind of with the Perek video the other day and just overall about the draft in general. And I did like this comment here from Chris. Chris said, if we aren't looking to have 2 more drafts like this year, that is a mistake in my opinion. And honestly, I gotta agree with you there, Chris. We know the Flames, they could potentially make a run at the playoffs. They have some good players, but it would be so much better if we had some drafts like this one. Now, of course, way easier said than done, and you are gambling on some of the players you do end up drafting, but already it seems like this draft was so good, and it would be smart if we are drafting a little bit higher over the next 2 drafts, maybe even going for Gavin McKenna in a couple years' time. But either way, I completely agree with you here. Thank you so much for commenting that. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you like what you saw here today, and have a wonderful rest of your day.